Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor.
Law firms will take this as a retainer.
What? It must be a law firm where they hungry as hell. Now you gonna help me with this parole I'm dealing with?
Judge Joe Brown's all-new barbecue sauce and seasoning. Justice in the form of flavor. With one taste of our premium blends of all-natural ingredients, herbs, and spices, you'll fall in love with meat all over again. Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce collection is made up of 2 zesty flavors, original and spicy. There's only one way to bring order back to barbecuing. Just add Judge Joe Brown's all-natural barbecue sauce and seasoning, and you be the judge.
Hi, good evening. We are back, honey. This is 1, 2, 3. This is my 4th live stream today. Oh my God. And I'm about to play Trump. He is in the Oval, honey. Yes, and I'm loving it. Loving the visuals already. Hi, Judge. Oh, you got your hat on too. So do I.
It's not a cowboy hat, it's a fedora. City boy. Gangster. Old time gangster. Anyway, they had some respect. I am in another part of the house getting reception so I could get on. So let me walk back to where I usually do the action.
Okay.
Okay, give me a hot second.
All right. And I'm
trying
going
to pick
to
up a plug.
And I'm just going to share Trump back at the Oval, honey. He's signing as he's signing the executives, he's taking questions from the press. Very transparent.
Yeah, that's so much more than Dumb Bunny. And Dumb Bunny and the bitch. So anyway.
Okay, we starting off hot already.
Yeah, the bitch hyena. We needed that Nazi the hell out of there. So anyway, it is what it is. So let's see how government is supposed to look. It's been a long time. I haven't felt like this. People are going to hate it, but since Lyndon Baines Johnson got his first full term, and before that, since Eisenhower was in. So it's been a long time. Let's see what we get here.
All right, so I'm going to play a little bit of it.
Have to get an approval from China too. I'm not sure, but I'm sure they'll approve it. And if they don't approve it, it would be somewhat of a hostile act, I think. But it's good for China if it gets approved.
So you're not guaranteeing that TikTok will be around after 90 days from today?
No, but it could very well be. It makes sense for it to be, because it's got tremendous value. But if we create the value by approving, in other words, that approval gives it tremendous value. If that's the case, then we should be entitled to 50% as a country. You understand? You haven't heard that one before, right? That's called a joint venture. And nobody ever thought that way.
Over your partner?
Well, I don't know. I think you have a lot of people that would be interested in TikTok with the United States as a partner.
Mr. President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than in 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people. I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. Don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
You said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky, and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal.
Zelensky
Zelensky wants to make a deal.
What kind of
I don't know if Putin does. He might not. I don't know. He should make a deal.
Okay.
I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's gonna be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope, I got along with him great, and, you know, I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, are you keeping U.S. sanctions on Russia until he makes a deal?
Well, sanctions or tariffs, I think the word tariff is much better because it keeps your dollar stronger. I think tariffs are more effective. I mean, I use sanctions on Iran. Iran was broke. When I left office, Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, none. They were flat broke. And October 7th would have never happened. And I think you all know that. It would have never happened. They had no money. Now they're rich, but, you know, they're weakened in a different way. I would say that the one attack by Israel really set them back. It really set them back. The Pagers and others. You know, the attack on air defense was a
Hi,
bad
TNG
attack.
family, fireworks, please share and hit the like
Executive
button.
order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the troop phases as the
I'm not confident. That's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the two-state solution?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site.
Yes, it is.
It's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Just let me know when you're ready, Judge.
Rebuilding Gaza?
Okay.
You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea,
Melanin Vision
best weather.
TV.
You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza? Who should?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead, by the way, right? Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly.
Sorry,
So
what?
you can't have that.
Mr. President,
Sorry.
on TikTok, sir, will you pause any decision on Chinese tariffs until you know what the resolution on TikTok will be? Are those things
No,
connected at
if
all?
China didn't approve it, we could put tariffs on China.
You know
Don't
what he
forget,
looks like? He looks very
China
comfortable in that
charges
Oval
us
Office.
tariffs, and we charge them very little,
Yeah.
except for what I did. I put a lot of.
He doesn't have to
Hundreds
worry
of billions of dollars.
about
But until I came
jail
along,
anymore.
China never paid 10
He
cents.
has
for the
gotten
sanctions.
his
They wrote
stuff
this off,
together.
and they never paid.
He knows what he's doing. He has a
We wanted to make a
plan,
deal with TikTok,
and
it
it's
was a good
cool.
deal. And China
That's
wouldn't
what you
approve.
need in a president, not somebody going in trying to push some clumsy agenda without any
I'm not saying-
grasp
but
of
you
what's
certainly could do that.
necessary when you're in charge rather than,
Well, if you're not going to approve it.
shall we say, accommodating people who are nominally bossing you because they paid for you.
Right.
See, that's the difference. And that's what we have lacked for a long time. We saw it with Trump. But during his first administration, I think he was too badly compromised by having to deal with the Republican Party's demands since he was essentially an outsider. Now he owns the Republican Party mainstream. He is MAGA. He is the chief and the boss for the Democrats that are in the House and the Senate. And he got a bunch of people in across the country who are staunchly behind him. This is the first real boss we've had since Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, to a great extent, him. So this is somebody that used to be the man behind the throne. He's now on the throne. So the kingmaker became the king.
We want them all.
It's a good change.
But Bill Clinton he had a great political sense, I think.
You looked like you were having a good conversation with President Obama at President
I
Carter's
was.
funeral.
And you'd like to know what it
Yeah,
was?
can you talk about, yeah, everybody wants to know.
Everybody wants to know. And I wouldn't want to buy it, but we were
This
having some
man's
crazy
at ease. He's
conversations.
not reading from a script. He's
Why
getting
are you
him.
asking a question like that? You know, I don't think you want to know. You might
Tell
not.
us what you just signed.
You might be insulted.
It's an executive order relating to holding former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. This next one, sir, is a declaration of a national energy emergency.
Sir, you also have
That's a big one.
several-
You know what that allows you to do? That means you can do whatever you have to do to get out of that problem. And we do have that kind of an emergency.
President Trump, at some point, will you use your powers of the presidency to tell Americans who are concerned about drones?
Yeah, oh,
A few weeks
good.
ago,
Yeah.
what exactly
I
was
will.
happening? Can you tell us now?
In fact, I'd like to know because I just got here.
What do you think?
I just came here. I've been here for what, 15 minutes now.
Do people listening, because this is going out live?
And I gotta read this letter too. Because of you, I found this letter.
I can read it for you.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know you would. Your father would too.
But is it anything, these drones, is it anything that people need to be worried about?
No, I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of?
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I mean, I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting.
Oh, you're talking about the drone.
And with the events today and yesterday, was everything moved inside just for cold weather, or was there some kind of security concern?
No security. Because they had everything shut down to drones. You can shut that down pretty easily if you're sophisticated. They're very sophisticated, these people. No, it was just cold weather. And we made a good move because, first of all, I thought it was incredible at the Capitol today. You know why I liked it? Because I got great reviews on that speech. I got great reviews. Can you believe it? They actually were fair.
This is
Maybe the fake news is changing. But,
unleashing energy
yeah,
production.
unleashing energy production. But I thought it was, I think having it in the Capitol is great. It's obviously, you can take care of the people you have to take care of. The city was booming. And if we would have done it outside, people would have been hurt because it was really cold. It was like, looked sunny. But when you stood outside for 10 minutes, people were running back in. It was really cold.
Yeah, it was cold. I mean, I think other inaugurations is cold, but it's probably like 30 or 40 degrees cold, not 20 degrees or 15 degrees or 20 degrees, but feels like zero if the wind is blowing cold. So
12 degrees.
well, if it was probably 12 degrees in DC, well, if the wind is blowing, it's probably going to feel like zero. So that it makes sense. And I kind of liked when the parade went into the arena. So, I do want us to get into other things.
Well, the temperature today was 12 degrees at,
in DC?
basically in DC at noon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's 15 degrees now. It warmed up a little bit.
So if the wind was blowing, it would have felt probably minus.
Yeah.
All right. So I just wanted to listen. It's been 4 years since we've seen this man in the Oval. He's taking questions. He's basically having a press conference while he's signing executive orders, and I'm loving it. Transparency. He has pardoned 1,500 January 6th defendants with a swipe of a pen today. He did it.
By the way,
Earlier.
about 140 of them were actually in D.C. The rest of them were spread out around the country. And you notice Biden pardoned everybody who is responsible for those prosecutions, including the members of Congress who were holding the January 6th hearings. Now that's
your camera off. I can't see you.
Okay, hold on.
Oh,
I was looking at the weather. So I find it fascinating that he pardoned those members of the congressional committee that drove this. And that's going to be interesting. Well, if you didn't do anything, why did you get a pardon? Well, I didn't do anything, but you got pardoned. So, yeah, I guess technically you didn't do anything as a law since you got pardoned, but I didn't do anything. Oh, yeah. Well, why did you need the pardon? You know, like George Washington said when the Brits tried to get him to fold, he said, in response to their offer for a blanket unconditional pardon, he said, why would somebody who has done nothing wrong need a pardon? And what they wanted to do was just swear allegiance to the king. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. He said, and I'm not going to admit that anything is done wrong. So why didn't these folk decline the pardon if they were so confident that they followed the law? I find that fascinating. And by the way, as I mentioned earlier, on an X space we were both on, when you pardon somebody, they no longer have to worry about criminal liability, so they don't have a Fifth Amendment they can fall back on to protect friends and associates and say, I decline to give testimony on the grounds that it may tend to incriminate me. They can't be prosecuted for it, so they can be forcibly compelled to give testimony against friends and associates and relatives. I find that fascinating, and the prosecutorial consequences are enormous if somebody's smart enough to do something with it. So that lady that's the new attorney general, that's her bailiwick. Let's see how smart she is.
Right. So I want to share this. I'll swing back to the Oval in a minute, but I wanted to go here. So just to go over some of the executive orders that he signed so far. So Trump signs order to protect America from foreign threats. Trump issued an executive order targeting foreign terrorists and national security risks. The order addresses the ongoing border crisis, but extends the broader executive powers to safeguard public safety.
That one's what he said he'd do, but I don't exactly agree with that one.
Trump officially launches DOGE. Trump launched the Department of Governmental Efficiency, tasked with ensuring swift implementations of executive orders, highlighting delays. He criticized a system where actions often take months, referring to where is this? Often takes referencing the slow release of January 6 detainees despite favorable Supreme Court rulings. Trump also condemned the treatment of J6 individuals, calling out brutal prosecutors and judges for over-precedented harshness. DOGE
Unprecedented harshness.
Unprecedented harshness.
See, most of them got sentenced for essentially misdemeanor trespass or misdemeanor vandalism. So sentencing somebody to multiple years in jail or more than a year in jail for a misdemeanor is a little bit out of hand.
Yeah. Whatever you have, can you cover it up?
What's that?
Cannot show that at all.
I'm not, didn't realize I was always kind of.
Yeah, just you can't show it. You cannot, just take it off. Thanks. So it says Trump designated cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Trump signed an executive order officially labeling cartels and similar groups as foreign terrorist organizations, a move long demanded by many. He emphasized the devastating tolls, stating cartel kills 250,000 to 300,000 Americans annually, not the 100,000 figure reported for years. While Mexico may oppose the destination, Trump declared we have to do what's right.
Now, I'm hoping there is a protection inherent in these orders that would keep, say, the Democratic Party, if they ever get back in, which American politics being what it is, they will, or somebody from the Rhino side of the Republicans right now. I'm hoping there are protections built in so they can't use these executive orders for purposes of persecuting innocent American citizens. So when you crack down on so-called terrorists, there's always the chance that somebody will stretch an interpretation to include citizens who speak out against something.
Mhm. And we all know that he has exited his role at Doge. However, he did state that he is going to be running for the governor of Ohio. I'm looking forward to that. And
Now, who is that that's doing this?
Vivek.
Vivek, okay.
Yeah, because he's from Ohio. So he's going to be running in the next governor election. I don't know when that's coming out. I got to find out. But my goal
More
is
power to him.
Huh?
More power to him. Everybody speaks against the wealthy running stuff, but it's, to me, better if they're actually in the seat of power rather than behind the seat of power buying somebody. So it's a change for the billionaires to be in charge and sitting in the hot seat rather than manipulating one of their employees who's sitting in that seat. That's a change. And actually, it's more commensurate with the Constitution because the thing was drafted with a sense of the people that would hold these offices would be successful people who only nominally needed to be paid because they'd be independently well enough off to not have to take bribes or worry about what's going under the table, at least on the federal level.
And breaking news, the Senate hands Rubio a historic 99-0 confirmation as Secretary of State.
Good.
I don't know. Well, whatever.
That's not bad. I think he'll be effective. He is not going around trying to push a social agenda on the rest of the world and getting complaints about the U.S. trying to baptize everybody in the LGBTQIA rainbow faith and
Secretary of State. Isn't that
he's in charge of foreign policy. See, what they were complaining about previously is the American diplomatic corps was trying to baptize everybody in a bin full of Skittles. So that's a bad way of putting it, but that's effectively it. So now we can get back to the business of diplomacy, economics, defense, and such kinds of policies rather than when are you going to be more open to LGBTQIA cult activity and allow this sissification of your population to take place, which is, okay, we have to give lip service, but we don't buy into that. So that will stop and we will get back to the nuts and bolts of diplomacy, I think.
The Senate passes Lincoln Raleigh Act to toughen immigration enforcement. It heads to Trump desk. The Senate voted 64-35 to pass the GOP-led Lincoln Raleigh Act, mandating ICE detention for undocumented immigrants charged with crimes like burglary, and shoplifting.
Yeah, in other words, crimes of moral turpitude that involve some type of theft or dishonesty. Those are classic moral turpitude offenses.
And Trump mass pardon of the J6 rioters. Trump signed orders pardoning 1,500 January 6 defendants, directing Bureau of Prisons to process releases tonight. We hope they come out tonight. The dramatic move fulfills a major campaign promise to free what he called J6 hostages. 1,200 convicted, several hundred remain behind bars, at least until tonight's paperwork hits the prison system.
Fair enough. He said he'd do it.
And he did it. Now,
mandate.
Trump ends weaponization of government against political adversaries. Trump has issued a directive to halt the weaponization of government agencies against political opponents of prior administrations.
Good move. That's what the Bill of Rights is supposed to be for.
This seeks to ensure neutrality and fairness in federal operations, addressing concerns over partisan misuse of government power.
Good move.
Top immigration court officials fired. Trump administration launched an immediate overhaul of the administration system firing 4 senior court officials within hours of taking office, including acting Director Mary Ching and Chief Immigration Judge Shelley McNulty. The move targets a system facing 3 million backlog cases, signaling Trump's intent to reshape immigration courts as he did in his first term with judge quotes and restricted asylum grants.
We do what Trump did in the first administration. We warn people, we try to advise people, and all of the hoi polloi, they get all upset and want to get offended because you told them a reality, you gave them a prediction. Trump did. Now everybody is supporting it. It was perhaps 6.5, 7 years premature when he spoke about it during the first part of his first term. Now they see the consequences that he was warning against, and they are not pleasant, so people listen. Unfortunately, in a system like ours, it takes a long time for people to listen. And although we do have modern communications, unfortunately, it takes longer because people use those modern methodologies to distract themselves rather than paying attention to what's going on. It's unfortunate.
Well, this is the one I was really excited about when it was announced. Trump signs an executive order to restore free speech and end government censorship. Trump has directed the federal government to restore freedom of speech and eliminate censorship. This order aims to ensure Americans can express their views without interference, safeguarding First Amendment rights and preventing government overreach in the future.
I thought the Democrats were saying he was going to clamp down on free speech. Doesn't seem to be the case, does it? So that looks like another lie told loud and long until it convinced a lot of people, including the liars.
And you know that has to do with what we do here on social media.
That means there's going to be some new policy with the first opening that comes up on FCC and some stuff that's going to come through Congress about FCC regulations and the attempts that have been obvious and deep and long of this last administration to suppress and chill free speech. That ought to be cute.
Something else that I wanted to bring up that he did sign that I was a little bit wait a minute, where is it? Not this one, not this one, not this one. Appointment official signing, protesting. Okay, so he's diversity. Okay, so Trump to limit definitions of gender identity. Trump officials said the order will direct federal agencies to use sex, not gender, in federal policies and documents. The order will also limit the choice of gender identification to sexes assigned at birth. Trump will end federal DEI programs. This order will end funding for DEI funding in government and will direct the Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Personnel Management to end illegal mandates preferences.
Okay, now let me give you one pragmatic reason that the Democrats totally ignored for the basis for this order. Let's say somebody has committed an armed robbery. 2 people have been shot. One of them is announced dead on the scene. You put out a description. If you took what the Democrats were pushing, some idiot who is a male might say, I'm a girl. So you got to put out an APB looking for a female when actually what you're looking for is a male. Obviously, that assists the culprit in escaping apprehension for the alleged criminal offense. So back to the point, what are you actually looking for? If this fool's got on a dress and wears a wig and makeup and hoop earrings, he can always take them off and look manly. So if you don't have a proper description as to what he is, he can readily escape apprehension. Not good for public peace, dignity, and order. So there is a very pragmatic reason for these kind of returns to sanity. He identifies as a girl. Well, he's got a dick and balls, and he just shot 2 people in an armed robbery. So we're looking for a female? We're looking for a male who has a beard. Okay? He just wears a bra, sports bra, but he might come out of it and he's got a beard. So somebody's out looking for a woman, it's kind of confusing. Female, whatever they may be, Asian, Hispanic, black, with a light goatee. What? What the hell are we talking about? Is this a mistake?
Thank you, Lisa Jackson. She says, Miss Dana, I think Trump is going to do his best. I think so too. Also, guys, please like this video, share this video. And I did put a goal in the super chat, 10 super chats. And if I reach the goal, I will bring back the phone lines. So please support and like, and share. And of course, as you can see going across the screen, Judge Joe Brown and myself, our Twitter accounts, and jjbbbq.com. Go get you some barbecue sauce. Now, another thing he signed today, Trump will end birthright citizenship. The president said he would end birthright citizenship, the right of children born in the U.S. to claim citizenship regardless of their parents' immigration status. The 14th Amendment guarantees American citizenship to anyone born in the U.S.
Well, he's going to have to do something about that. He signed the order. I think that will be surplusage because there's a constitutional amendment, the 14th Amendment, that speaks to that, and an executive order can't override it. Another thing, even if it could, it's more properly within the domain of a legislative body, which will have to propose an amendment to an amendment. So, wowee. See, there's a lot. See, he's not formally trained in law. I think his motivation is good, but there's some things you can do and some things you cannot do. And even Biden, who nominally was trained to an extent in the law, at least he went to law school, though he seems to have had problems because of plagiarism while he was there. And I don't know whether he actually graduated, and he's never practiced law, but he ought to have known, but he did some things that are not supported by the Constitution and out the window, because in our scheme of government, at least since 1803, which is 232 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court declared in Marbury versus Madison that appellate courts have the authority to declare acts of Congress unconstitutional, and also actions of presidents, by the way. So,
well, this is a quick 46-second clip of him talking about the birthright citizenship as he signs the executive order.
I met with numerous foreign leaders. Go ahead.
Sir, this next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
What about that one in the courts? That one is likely to be passed.
Could be. We think we have good grounds, but you could be right. I mean, you'll find out. It's ridiculous.
Well,
we're the only country in the world that does this with birthright, as you know. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. But, we'll see. We think we have very good grounds.
Sir,
people have wanted to do this for decades.
Sir, this is a proclamation.
See, what's happening here is I locked up people, parents who were convicted, and their probation requests were denied. So what did you do with the children? The parents are U.S. citizen, the child's a U.S. citizen. Well, somebody was assigned the custody of the children, usually Child Protective Services, and they went into an institutionalized situation. Well, the same thing here. These are American citizens under birthright citizenship, and if the parents are criminals who, in the course of their criminality, became criminals by invading the border, then you deprive them of their children. They're left here and they're raised in America and they become resources, unless for humanitarian purposes you allow them to go back with the parents, and that means they now have dual citizenship, which could be a pain. but the parents brought it on their children, and that becomes, what is it? Child abuse. That becomes dependency and neglect when it comes to a child. So the parents pay the cost for their criminality. You know, you just don't walk across the border like that. Where they came from, for the most part, you walk across the border, you get caught, you get shot on the spot.
Well, a lot of people, particularly Black people, some Black people, are saying that if he ends birthright citizenship, then it's going to affect Black Americans.
Oh, how?
Right. It won't. It can't.
That's the
If it's
stupid
gonna
nonsense of a slave sitting there trying to defend the plantation is behind as a slave on.
Right, because if it's going to affect Black Americans, then it's going to affect white Americans. So, yeah,
I challenge anybody that said that kind of stupidity to a test on their constitutional awareness.
Mhm.
Guess
Right.
who will win?
Because like he said, any other country in this world, they don't have that policy. So
No, they don't.
if my mother's pregnant with me as an American or whatever, but she's in another country and gives birth, I don't have any claim to that country.
Well, yes, you do. But here's the problem.
No, that country will say I'm not a citizen.
You're a dual citizen.
They won't even give you that.
You know who has a problem with that? Who was a candidate against this man for president in 2016? Was Cruz. He was born in Canada, so he had dual citizenship, and under the Constitution, he's not born on American soil. Therefore, even though he is certainly a citizen, he is ineligible to be president of the United States.
No. He didn't. He got dual citizenship, and when he applied.
No, that's not the point. He was born in Canada. He had effective dual citizenship automatically because his parents were American, but he was born on Canadian soil.
No, I know that.
Listen to me. That's not what I'm talking about. When he ran for president against Donald Trump in 2016, what wound up happening is he was basically second runner-up. So the problem is that constitutionally, if he had been the nominee for the Republican Party, he would have been ineligible because he was not born on American soil.
I get that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if my mother or if I gave birth in another country, my parents are American citizen. So if they gave birth in China, I can't have dual citizenship.
Yeah, you think.
Let me finish. If my mother gave birth to me in Mexico, no, I have no citizenship, no dual citizenship in Mexico.
Yes, you do by treaty. I'm sorry, you do.
No, they don't.
Look, that came
to, Judge, let me finish.
Listen to me. That came to fore after World War.
That is considered birthright citizenship. And
you cannot. Look, you couldn't run for president if you were born in a foreign country.
I'm not talking about America. I'm talking about other countries.
You weren't born on American soil, but you were born on another country.
I'm talking about other countries.
That's
I don't have
all right.
any
if you hold tight a second, after World War II, they had some interesting matters that got to the U.S. Supreme Court. What they concerned was Japanese who were born in the United States. Their parents were naturalized American citizens, so they were citizens. They went back to visit relatives in Japan while pregnant, had children back in the 1920s who were born in Japan to full-fledged, born in America parents, but they had dual citizenship with Japan and the United States. These individuals, unfortunately for some of them, wound up being in Japan visiting relatives when Pearl Harbor went down. Japan claimed that they were Japanese citizens and drafted them into the Army and Navy as translators, and they got prosecuted for treason when the war was over and they returned back to the United States. They were born to an American citizen who just happened to be of Japanese, they were of Japanese extraction, visiting relatives. in the early part of the 20th century. They were born in Japan. Japan claimed them as natural-born Japanese citizens and forcibly inducted them into the Japanese military and naval forces.
Okay,
So
so
the
then,
ruling is that you can be.
wait,
but
okay, so
Trump-
then, wait, so then Trump is wrong.
yes, he's wrong.
Because
But
he
I
said
think,
that,
like
he
he
says, let
says,
me talk. He says he said in this clip, we are the only country that does that. And apparently we're not.
Yeah, that's right. That's a unique thing about the U.S. Constitution, but it's not quite correct. Look at Winston Churchill. His father was an English lord. His mother was a Chicago department store heiress. He had dual citizenship, which he had renounced to become Sir Winston, and he was otherwise an American citizen. Now, what I'm saying is go back and check what he said. They brought it up to him, and he said, well, that may be. You might be right, but that can be dealt with at a later time. He's acknowledging that what he's doing may have flaws. But the point of the exercise is sometimes you have to take the initiative and test the system. You have to say, this may look bad, but let's see if we can deal with it. It's like tax. You have a very complex tax situation and you got a client. You tell the client what the risks are and say, hey, look, we have a chance, but I can't guarantee that we'll prevail. So let's throw it in the hopper, send it to IRS. And if they bust us on it, we acted in good faith. And the worst you're going to have to do is pay back something with interest, which will likely be at a lower rate than you could get from a bank. So in other words, try it. That's what he's doing. Throwing it in the hopper to see if it goes out and it survives. Probably won't, but
So
it's
if
good.
all these other countries, so birthright citizenship is a common thing throughout the world.
Yes.
So what is he talking about then? Why is he?
Well, what he's saying is we have a problem right now where they're using that to get anchor babies so nobody deports them. What they fail to realize and have for a number of decades is that the reason we have this thing about them being anchor babies is we're trying to act in a humanitarian fashion to keep from splitting up families. But traditionally and under international law, you can do just that. So the point is the parent dealt with dependency and neglect with the child, broke the law, and left the child adrift. So that is a future citizen of the, well, it's a citizen, a future productive citizen of the United States. We don't necessarily have to let that child return to, as Trump puts it, some shithole of a third world country. And that's why they left the shithole of the third world country, where you go, they have open sewers that are ditches rather than enclosed in pipes buried underground. The water is brown because it's contaminated, and you're a fool if you don't boil it or drink bottled water or beer or Coca-Cola. So there are a whole lot of differences between where we are right now and the United rest of the world. We have some laws that nobody else in the world has. Britain comes close, but they failed because we used them as a springboard. And we learned and we saw the British system, and what was it? No taxation without representation. We are English subjects, but we're not treated that way. When in the course of human events, it becomes, et cetera, et cetera. That's
I think the difference is, whereas if you are an American citizen and you go to another country and give birth, and if you are a citizen from another country, as opposed to coming here and giving birth, to where as soon as you give birth here, but you're a citizen in another country, it's like the paperwork is limited to probably one piece of paper, as opposed if I'm in another if I'm an American and I give birth in another country, you have to go through multiple hoops in order to claim your child to have citizenship or dual citizenship there, to where it's less of a hassle if you just gave birth here.
Well,
what do you call that?
Yeah, you're right. But
more red tape.
Yeah, but you're right. But see, nobody anticipated a mass crashing of the border. It just wasn't done. I had to go through this because my last wife, last ex-wife, she had dual citizenship between the U.S. and Canada because her mama was a Canadian citizen and her daddy was from Memphis and a U.S. citizen. So we went through that, resolving the situation 25 years ago when we first got married. So yeah, I'm familiar with the process. Now, when you are an American citizen and you are abroad, if you happen to be pregnant, likely as not, your pregnancy is being developed while you're on a military, naval, or air base. So that is held to be American territory. So you are an American citizen. They also have certain situations where in certain embassies, in certain very limited circumstances, under certain consulate situations, they have places where if this consulate has a certain status with the host country, it becomes American soil. Embassies automatically American soil. And if you have a French embassy in America, it's French soil. So what happens is if a person is born on the embassy grounds, they are an American citizen. So there are situations where people check in with an American embassy when, say, they're in France, and they have some facility. So what happens is if they are born, they're born on the embassy lot, which is American territory. So they become born on American soil. American soil embraces all states, territories such as Puerto Rico, protectorates like American Guam, a naval base, air base, an army base, a Marine Corps encampment, a canal zone, on a bridge leading from a foreign country, say Canada or Mexico, into the United States. That kind of thing. An embassy, whatever it may be, that's deemed under American law American soil, born on American soil. And that's by treaty.
What happened?
Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says that the government is bound to follow the law of nations, and that's part of the treaty stuff. Article 6 of the Constitution says ratified treaties are part of the supreme law of the land. So when you have a treaty situation with a foreign government about that, that's what applies. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, shit.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so go out and come in. Go out and come back. I knew something like
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now, but did you hear what I was saying?
No. We heard everything you were saying. You just probably couldn't hear me if I said something.
Yeah, but see, those treaty situations are important because we've got treaty relationships with various countries that anticipate this. Another thing that is going to be apparent is this very grave, important factor. You tend to write laws generally so that when a specific instance that deviates from the norm comes up, you rely on the wisdom of the people that are charged with interpreting and applying the law. The courts or senior officials or whatever it may be, they're supposed to be wise and experienced in the ways of the world and the subject matter they're dealing with. But that is not always the case now. And we have had this whole thing where for 50 years we've been taught manifest distrust of the people that traditionally humanity trusted to display wisdom. We do not like wisdom because wisdom implies that there's something about somebody that is more profound or better than what you have going for you. So everybody's supposed to be on the same level. You're 18 years old and you call a 68-year-old man who is a professor emeritus or a known scholar or a profound businessman or somebody that represents you or whatever, and you call them by their first name like they're one of your buddies off of the playground you just left out of high school. See, so we have this innate disrespect for experience and gravitas and achievement these days. So we don't like to show what goes along with that, which is you respect their judgment we don't respect anything now. We don't even respect ourselves. So this is.
What happened?
It is a problem.
Can you hear me?
You there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear you. No, I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. I can hear you. Yes, 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 yes.
Hello?
Go out and come back in.
Okay.
Well, I mean, people keep calling him, and it's just like, that's just hella rude. And it's knocking him off. When people call him, it's knocking him off. And then when he gets back on, he can't hear anything. So he will have to go all the way out. Can you hear me now or no? What is he doing? Go out. Go out. And come back. You can hear me, my text go through. Get a second phone. I know he needs a second phone. Okay, he went out. He went out. So I'm Ohio first. Oh, what is the score? Here he goes. Where is it? Okay, here you go.
It's difficult.
Okay. Yeah, so listen. So again, so where I'm coming from is because if well, then Trump was incorrect saying that we're the only one. However, I think what he was just saying in a quick short phrase and what other people have said, because I've heard that, first of all, it's damn near impossible to get a citizenship or even dual citizenship, for instance, in Mexico, unless you have a relative or you're married or something like that. So where I'm coming from is it depends on a country, but the difference between them and us, it is less red tape, less paperwork. And for example, when my daughter and her husband at the time, they went to Morocco, he could have automatically become a resident, even though he was born here in America, but his parents from Egypt. So, and then he's Muslim. And the reason why he could have became a resident and then he could have added my daughter and the kids as residents under him is because he's Muslim and he has Egyptian lineage, Arab lineage. So, depending on the country, you have less paperwork depending on your religion.
Well, it depends on where you are from and what their standards of citizenship are. But generally,
he could have not been from America. He could have been because he was Muslim. That's number one, and definitely, and then also Arab lineage out of Egypt. But number one is because he was Muslim, and that is a Muslim country.
I get that, but that's not what I'm talking about. Each country can decide what it classifies as a citizen, but there's some pretty general parameters that are damn near universal. That's one of them we've been talking about the impact of dual citizenship. It is sometimes a big problem, and a lot of people have that problem. Now, there are ways around it. There are treaties. There are things about diplomacy. There are things that deal with what is sovereign territory. Like embassies for the last 2,500 years have been deemed part of the sovereign territory of the country they're embassies for, whether you're talking about Greek situations with Persia, or you're talking about Rome dealing with Gaul, or Rome dealing with Spain, or Rome dealing with Egypt. An embassy was deemed to be part of the territory of the country that had the embassy there. It was a convenience because it is in the advantage for countries to talk with each other through their ambassadors, which is an ancient office. It goes back thousands of years. So this tradition is part of American law. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says the U.S. shall respect and enforce quote, the law of nations, unquote, and that's an ancient part of it. It's common of a common law, international common law. So it does cause problems, especially after World War II. You had people of German descent, Italian descent, a lot of Italian descended people, and a lot of Japanese people on the West Coast who got caught up into the tricknology of dual citizenship and what that meant. I gave you an example of some cases that were in front of the U.S. Supreme Court relative to Japanese citizenship, but you also had that with Italian folk, go back to the old country to visit relatives, and somebody's born there back in 1912, 1917, 18, 19, and by the time they grow up, they might be considered by El Duce to be citizens of Italy and inducted into or drafted into the Italian military, which causes all kinds of problems. So these things came up. I live in a place in Memphis as a suburb. It's called Germantown. There are a lot of Germantowns in the United States. And in both World War I and World War II, we had a problem with folk who had dual citizenship with the Weimar Republic, with the Kaiser and his boys, and before that, the various provinces and the principalities of Germany, Saxony, Pomerania, Prussia, you name it. So we've had those problems for a very, very long time. They're not new. It's just that the public is left ignorant because the newspapers do not discuss these things at length because they are boring to a lot of people. So they're trying to maximize the entertainment value of their news reporting. And no.
Well, well, I was about to say, you keep having these long on stories that.
Well, I mean, how do I say?
No, because it's making me forget what I sometimes you need to shorten it because you know we're not having a
You
long.
can't shorten it. In other words,
you could shorten
international
a
law
story.
is the rules. So
Everything don't need a story.
well, the story is this. The story
No,
is
not another story because I'm trying to think what I was going to say.
Okay, well, I have to hold off on people too. So sometimes I jump in and exercise the initiative. But remember, all I can say
Oh,
is,
now I remember.
Yeah, okay.
But you want to talk about stories. Let me throw this in there because I heard somebody said earlier that so you know he signed a lot of executive orders, especially when it has to do with not just in birthright citizenship but deportation. And I think that being that we're having this birthright citizenship conversation, I think his executive order is basically saying our rules are going to be harder because the birthright citizenship is too lax. They have anchor baby hospitals in California, which is illegal because they're turning a motel into an anchor baby hospital. So with that executive order, and if something becomes law through Congress, it would definitely cut that birthright citizenship to where it prevents illegals for just coming here to have a kid, and the kid is automatically a citizen. And then of course you don't want to separate the parents and they get to stay too. So real quick though.
We have this one. This is an option. We carefully record the birth of the child, keep careful records, which should be easy enough since you have computerization, and give the putative parent the choice. You either take the child back with you or you go and we keep the child here. Your choice. We'll do this for humanitarian reasons, but the child will keep a dual citizenship, and when it turns 18, it may apply at an appropriate embassy. And these are the code or reference numbers to carefully set up date of birth. We issue social security numbers now when children are born, so somebody can get a social security number and they can assert that when they turn 18 if they want to exercise their American citizenship rights. That's one solution to the thing, but I haven't heard anybody discuss that.
No, because they ain't trying to do
I guess it doesn't occur.
I want to bring this up. Dwight Eisenhower.
Dwight Eisenhower.
Yeah. I heard that he was probably second to Trump, or he was He was the president who did the most mass deportations. Do you know anything about that?
Eisenhower was at one time held to be the smartest man in the U.S. Army. He's the one that started in 1919, did the survey coast to coast, and now
Do you know anything about his deportations, honey? We
yeah.
don't need
Well,
that
here's why they gave
Eisenhower.
yeah, but here's why they gave it to him. If you just want to say, yeah, okay, fine, that doesn't.
Okay, let me read this real quick. It says the largest mass deportation in American history, as many as 1.3 million people may have been swept up in Eisenhower era campaign called Operation Wetback. Oh, that's where that derogatory term comes from.
No, that's not where it comes from. That's what it was used, derogatory or not. They swam the Rio was the popular way of saying it. Hence,
Well, wetback is derogatory, but
yeah.
July is scorching in Mexicali, the Mexican city just across the border from Calixto, California, 100 blah, blah, blah. In 1955, thousands of disoriented people roamed the city streets as the sun bore down on them. I'm not reading a goddamn story. Just give me the facts. During Operation Wetback, tens of thousands of immigrants were shoved into buses, boats, and planes and sent to often unfamiliar parts of Mexico where they struggled to rebuild their lives. In Chicago, 3 planes a week were filled with immigrants and flown to Mexico. In Texas, 25% of all of the immigrants deported were crammed onto boats, later compared to slave ships. Oh my God.
Okay, what I was getting ready to say was Eisenhower from 1919 up to 1932 was assigned to investigate the borders and potential highway routes of the United States. He became very conversant with illegal immigration at the time, very conversant. He kept that in mind, and he was 5-star General Eisenhower, ultimately commander of NATO forces, and before that of the Allied invasion on D-Day, and had 18 million men under his command. And he was used to being an authoritarian. And though he was known as Smiling Ike, he had a reputation of having the foulest mouth in the history of the U.S. Army and was known to make lieutenants and captains piss their pants in front of him. Now, he took no mess, took no prisoners, and was absolute in the way he carried out his authority. So being familiar with how the immigration was switched from being legal to illegal, he took no prisoners on it, and he was cold-blooded, and he was used to, when I give an order, it's obeyed. I don't want to hear it. So hence the operation we talked about. So that was Eisenhower. He was a man used to having his orders followed.
Well, so the Operation Wetback was to root out undocumented Mexicans from American society.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of racist. And here's why. Let me state why first. Thank you. Mexico, United States, and of course that line is there by way of war. So you draw a line, this is our territory now. However, you still had a lot of people doing business, working in the United States, back and forth. And I just think, and technically you talk about the natives of Mexico, they were part of the native people here as well, of all shades, not just these highlight Indians running around here. But anyway, why Mexicans? And whereas it was a point to where during Eisenhower, that was in what, the 1950s?
Mm-hmm.
The war, what was it? The War of 1812? That was the war with Mexico and the US, right?
Oh, that was 1848, the Mexican-American War.
Okay. So you're talking about, so you still have a beef or a vendetta with Mexico from since 1848. And, my God, how many Mexicans were still here working, building families, or working and going back to Mexico? It was a back and forth. So to do that type of roundup with all those people, 1.5 million people, and then call them wetback, that's
okay.
Wait, I'm not finished. I know I'm a little bit long with it, but now you know how it feels to me. But that, and I'm saying that as discriminatory because I want to compare it to Haiti and Haitians. For anything, I feel as though Haitians should have the right to come back and forth between Haiti and America, especially when you talk about the earthquakes and the hurricanes that happen. They should not just get temporary 2-year status. It should be longer, with them having the ability to become citizens here. Why? Because of all of the harm that American government has done to Haiti. When we talk about the NGOs, or inserting certain people in positions to cause a coup, and but and it's right there within this, what do you call it, the Western Hemisphere. So, and that's how I feel the same sentiments when we talk about Mexico. Now, Mexicans today, they ain't trying to come over here like that.
Okay, let me give you some context. The reason Eisenhower had that attitude is he was intensively involved in what happened after Pancho Villa invaded and shot up some American towns on the southern border in 1916. He didn't go on General Pershing's Mexican expedition with, say, the likes of future General George Patton, but he was involved in some shootouts in Texas towns as a consequence of what was going on. His racial situation relative to what he did in Little Rock in 1956 with carrying out the Supreme Court's Brown v. Board of Education mandate has been explained from time to time by the ancestry of his dear mother. If you take a look at her picture, I know you have Black friends who look less Black than Eisenhower's mama. And there was a long-standing thing he had to deal with in his early career in the Army about him having enough to have that one drop qualification as Black in the United States because of his mother's ancestry, which was purportedly mixed. So take a look at a picture of Mrs. Eisenhower, meaning President Eisenhower's mama, and you'll see what they're talking about. So he had a sensitivity, it seems, to the Black condition, and he had a particular sensitive spot when it came to the Mexican thing, which was, I don't necessarily like this because of some unpleasantries on the southern border in 1916. So along with his exploring the southern border by primitive automobile, 1919 through 1923, he had a lot of dislikes, likes, and biases, and other things that came out of his experience. So you have to take that in context. The other thing is,
put that in context of his racism.
Well, it wasn't racism. Remember, he did a lot for Black Americans. He was not against what Truman did when he signed Executive Order 1981 that integrated the U.S. Armed Services in 1947. He was chief of staff for the United States Army at the time, and he assisted in seeing that it was carried out. And later in 1956, he went down and got one of Biden's sponsors and mentors, Faubus, who stood in the doorway of Little Rock High School and said, as long as I'm governor of the state of Arkansas, there'll be no niggers in attendance at Little Rock High School. Well, Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne down there, and that problem kind of evaporated. The next year, they closed down Little Rock High School and it was not open. So you've got this kind of thing. He certainly didn't do anything in the context of the time to hurt Black folk, but he had an identification with them that was rumored to be, and seems to, on photographic evidence, to have been substantial, that he too was a Black man masquerading for Black like J. Edgar Hoover was. Now, there is that. So take that into context. It may or may not.
That he was half Black, even though he didn't like Blacks.
He didn't dislike Blacks. There's nothing he did that was
didn't want to be associated as having Blackness in him.
Yes, but see, here's the other thing too. He's the commander in chief that said, to hell with this. The U.S. Supreme Court said separate but equal is not equal.
He integrated the military.
So no, he sent the 101st Airborne down to forcibly open up Little Rock High School in 1956.
That was Eisenhower.
That was Eisenhower. He said, hell no, and he sent
Oh,
the
I'm sorry.
101st
I'm sorry.
Airborne.
It was Truman who integrated the military.
Yeah, that was a 1947 executive order,
Before
1980.
Eisenhower.
Who was chief of staff of the U.S. Army about that time, supported him.
Okay, so you know what? So this is what I mean with you and your long stories, because you know how I just said, oh, that was Truman who integrated the military. You said yes, but instead of you saying yes, you give us a summary of what happened. And
Yeah,
sometimes, right, and sometimes I don't need the summary for time reasons.
I know you don't. You
Let
told
everybody
me
else
to
go.
have
Wait,
that.
one second, Judge. Let everybody else go and read. Let them
Yeah,
go.
but you told me to have at it. And to find that stuff now is going to be difficult, but we went over it in school in the 1950s.
Oh, if they go to the library and do research, they'll find it.
I know that, but how many of these idiots are energetic enough to go to a damn library?
And that's what I'm saying. And that is why I cuss people out sometimes on here, because let him talk, because y'all so lazy and y'all just want this man to talk so you could just feel like you're getting smarter, but you don't want to support him. You don't want to support this platform that he's on every week so that he could talk. Like, and that's why I said don't tell them everything. Don't give us.
I don't tell them everything. I've only given them some delicious clues to go sniffing after, so they go in the kitchen to see what's going to be on the table. Meaning, if you go to a public library, and the last I checked, even when we were looking at Aretha's place here in Memphis, as trashed out as some of those neighborhoods were, did you notice the public libraries that were open? So how many people avail themselves of the opportunity to bootstrap their minds up so they can be successes in life by going to those libraries rather than hanging around playing basketball down the street at a public park?
Mm-hmm.
See, the key to success is right there staring you in the face. So you want to do this whining excuse, victimized thing where nobody told me. Well, hell, folks, get enough initiative to be curious about what the devil's going on. You see all these books on the wall. Aren't you interested to find out why they're on the wall and what's in them? Oh, hey, sharpen your brain up. So I'm giving them some stories to saying history is not just dead and dry. There's other stuff behind it. Probably more interesting gossip than what you pay attention to when you deal with TMZ and all of that foolish nonsense, salacious crap and garbage that comes out of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for sending in super chats. So let me get to some of the super chats. I did acknowledge this. Thank you, Lisa. And we have Massa Taluk. You both are missing a key part. Some countries give birthright only if at least one parent is a citizen. The U.S. just gives it regardless.
I said that, sir. I said that this requirements of citizenship are up to the country in question.
Yeah, and
so that's what happened.
That's not the aim of discussion that we were coming from. We're not talking about if one parent was a citizen at the country outside of the US. We're talking about an American citizen who was pregnant that goes to another country that they have no claim to and give birth. Some countries they are not that baby is not automatically a citizen in some countries, but some countries they are. However, it's more red tape in other countries as opposed to here. See, people who have no claim here, they get pregnant and come here and they could give birth here so that their child will be a 100% citizen just because they gave birth.
That's called dealing with the rules. See, here's the thing. That's why we have the Department of State and a Secretary of State, and we have ambassadors and consulates, and that's what we deal with. We have treaties to establish these relationships with other countries, and they advise us as to what their rules are. We tell them what ours are, and everybody, as a courtesy to the other one, follows the other person's rules. entity's rules. So it is what it is. It depends, as he said, but that's what I said. It depends on the particular country involved as to what their citizenship rules are. We can't dictate that.
So faith is all we need. Dana, Melania was wearing that brim. It looked fabulous on her.
You didn't like it.
I didn't like the outfit was nice. I didn't like it for the occasion, and I think she purposely wanted that type of hat to cover her eyes for whatever reason, but I liked I liked the type of style she had during the first inauguration. But I need to find out the name of the designer for this one.
Hey, maybe she was doing the female equivalent of all of the woke folk that got to be on camera inside with hyper dark shades on, so you can't see their eyes.
Maybe. Melania
Let me put my shades on.
so I YouTube Hip says, respect to the judge and Dana, I'm out. Got a big day tomorrow. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Yes, thank you. I like Judge Joe Brown's stories, and he has more knowledge than anyone, and you need to wait, have patience, and you will understand why. Judge need his own show, and I will see it. My opinion. Monica Cardenas, I really don't give a fuck what you think. Just because it's 2025, don't think that you or anybody else won't get cussed the fuck out. Now, then let me finish, Judge. Let me finish. She must be a newbie. Maybe, and if you're not, so what? And if you are, so what? Don't watch. I have all the patience in the world. This is a show we do together. We've been doing this for 5 years. You don't see none of the shows from a year ago, from over a year ago, because I privatized all of it. But we've been doing this for a while, a long time. So I know.
Well, I give Dana this. She means well. She just doesn't tell.
I don't give a damn if I wasn't meaning well. It's the fact that I know you well, you know me well, and I get tired of your long stories because this is a time show, and I can say that to you. Nobody else can say it, but I can say it.
Here's the thing. Traditionally, humans conveyed messages with something known as parables. They were stories, typically fictions made up to be interesting. Sometimes they told real tales. There are people throughout the world, throughout the ages, and now who make points by telling real stories. So sometimes what I do is I give an example or an illustration to make the point clear, whereas with individuals who don't get into the scholastic side of things much, they get left behind when you start trying to put it in the arcania of words. In other words, I just did that. So yeah, you just tell it like it is and give an illustration. What you mean by this, man? Well, you saw Robert, man, and Stomp. They was down on the playground, man, when we went down, you know, and you can say what went on and people get it. That's all I'm doing, giving anecdotes that are colorful to keep people's attention so they don't forget the message, because now
you know people got short attention span, but they do. But here's the thing, though. I get it. It's not even that. It's the fact that they think that they critique me and tell me what I can't do. And that's not happening because this is my show. I run this. I produce it. And I could say to him, cut it short or you're too long. I could do that. You can't, and nobody else can. And Miss Thing, as far as him getting another show, y'all need to get that up. Honey, he is not going anywhere. Even if somebody pays him to go do a show, he's still doing it here. That's going to be in a contract, boo-boo. He's not going anywhere. Sorry.
Right. You got me. So bottom line is we squabble. Dana likes to deal with sensationalism and the gossip column stuff. I detest it, you know.
Yeah, so it's
I go off stuff, and we occasionally apologize for cutting each other off. But you know, I'm used to when I walk into work, everybody stands up until I give them permission to sit down. When I stand up, they stand up. Nobody says anything unless they ask for my permission, and I give it. And I'm running these things that go on that are intense with very learned people arguing ferociously with and against each other. and maybe somebody's life is at stake because the state is asking for the death penalty if one side loses. So yeah, that's the business management of discussion.
Also,
now, sometimes I bring that to
real
bear.
quick, I was trying to find who was Melania Trump's designer, and it was a New York designer, Adam Lippis, and a coordinating hat by Eric Javis. Okay, so
Oh my,
yeah, exactly. It's
that's a lot out of me.
one old man guy's opinion. The Treaty of Guadalupe, Hidalgo,
Hidalgo.
officially
Hidalgo.
officially ended the Mexican-American War, 1846-1848. It was signed on February the 2nd, 1848, in the town of Guadalupe, Hidalgo.
Hidalgo. Guadalupe Hidalgo.
One old guy's opinion again, with the USC child, the illegal alien family gets anchored social services programs they never paid into. Oh, so that's another
Well, here's
reason
the
for him to stop the birthright citizenship.
Well, here's the thing with China. When they had the thing with you have a limit of one child per family, they didn't put anybody in jail for having two. It's just the second child was not entitled to medical care, was not entitled to education, was not entitled to the protection of the state. They were just sort of an outcast. They did bend the rules. If one of their scholars or industrialists and his wife were abroad and they had 2 or 3 children, they said, well, they're smarter than most or more enterprising than most, so we'll cut them some slack. But you see, that was the rule. You had 2 children and you were only allowed one. The second one got no benefits.
But see, right. But ending birthright citizenship, probably, it's like, yeah, why should an anchor baby or family get any type of social service and you ain't paying into it? So that would be a good thing for him to end birthright.
Well, see, here's the problem. It's in the 14th Amendment, which is now a fixture in the Constitution. So how do you get around what is now a constitutional requirement?
How about we table that and you can elaborate that on Thursday?
Well, I just
want to go through these. No, I need to go, Judge. I need to go
one
through
quick
the
addition. One
I
quick addition.
need to go through the super chats. Can we
One
just
quick.
pin it? Just pin it for a
Okay,
second.
hold on. You love this one. You know, one of the other reasons they have that in the 14th Amendment, as per the contribution of some black input in it, is because all of these slaves were born in the United States. So by the fact that they had birthright citizenship, they automatically became citizens of the United States of America. And Frederick Douglass insisted on that. Now,
all right, thank you. I need to, let me just run through these super
I'll forget.
chats. No, you won't. So stop.
I'll forget
Stop.
that.
No, you will not, because we're going to talk about the 14th Amendment on Thursday. Stop.
Well, I mean, but I'll forget.
No,
that
you just want to tell the story.
Okay, now I'm through. But now people have been
Matt, I don't care what the people think. Mass to Luke 5. Trump was not wrong. The U.S. is the only country that grants birthright citizenship, regardless of the legal status of the parents. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong in what he was trying to do. As he said, we'll test it. So let's see what happens as to whether it passes constitutional muster.
Tell him to put his phone on do not disturb.
Yeah, now let's see.
Faith is all we need. Says, tell him to put his phone on do not disturb. Why didn't you?
Faith is all we need? No, it's not.
Why you ain't put it on do not disturb?
Well, it is on do not disturb, but
now it is
not seem to work.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, right. Well, it was. So it doesn't.
All right. One old guy's opinion: immigration laws are there to limit access to Social Security services for United States citizens.
Really? In the 1860s, 1870s, when the 14th Amendment really kicked in, Social Security was a long time in the future.
One old guy.
In the 1930s, and this was in the beginning of the 1880s. So that was 50 years.
Again, first immigration laws on the books were on the Chinese.
A lot of it came out of what California did independently. before it became a state and after it became a state. Yeah.
Okay, it was another person. I gotta grab theirs. I like to highlight it if they sent in. Let me see if I can still grab it if I scroll up. This is the only thing about this stream is it doesn't grab as okay, here we go. Eisenhower and the Republicans tried to pass the Civil Rights Act. Thank you, B-Man.
That's true.
Oh, now you want to give a short answer.
Yeah, I do occasionally. The Southern Democrats were completely against that in the 1950s. But the unrest by the 1964 Civil Rights Act that Lyndon Baines Johnson replaced Kennedy's Weak Act with was right on the cusp where things were beginning to get a little violent. And in 1965, late 1964, people started getting upset enough to start torching cities and municipalities. That was not pleasant. The congressional record reveals that the main impetus for the civil rights bills and the voting rights bills had nothing to do with peaceful, nonviolent demonstrations, but everything to do with what are we going to do about all of these towns that are getting burnt down much more extensively than Los Angeles is burning down as a result of wildfires. What you see in LA isn't nearly as bad as what you saw after 1965 August in what's later to be called South Central LA.
Thank you, Mike. Can the individual states still go after Fauci after the pardons? Good question.
Yeah, they could, but the problem is I don't see why he was pardoned. What he did was ignorant, stupid, ill-advised, dilatory, but it wasn't necessarily criminal. It was the exercise of discretion in his possession. So they pardoned him. Well, idiot pardoned him. So now what did you get pardoned for? See, that's the effect. Because there's a pardon, people associate that their biases that he had done something wrong is in fact true. Yeah, he did something wrong, but whether or not it's criminal is another thing.
Mm-hmm. So this is something I wanted to bring out. This last thing here. God. And my thing is, it's always somebody black that has to or want to show they ass. Did you see that black preacher? So towards the end of the inauguration inside the Capitol, it was a rabbi and someone else, like a person from each faith come up and say a prayer. So of course we had the black preacher pastor come up and he was just doing too much.
God, we're asking you not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every molehill in Mississippi, from every state, every city, every village, and every hamlet. And when we let freedom ring, we will be able to speed up that day for all of your children. Black men and white men, Protestant and Catholic, Jew and Gentile will be able to sing in the meaning of that old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank you, God Almighty. We are free at last. If you believe where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Come on, put your hands together and give your great God great glory. God, we're asking you not only that.
So what was his name? This is his name.
Martin Luther King, but anyway, he's not doing.
Pastor Lorenzo Sewells.
Where is he from?
I think I don't want to say the word tether, but I think let me see. I think he's from Detroit.
What else? Okay, there we go. He's trying to recruit people with his big opportunity. He's not letting any moment pass unused, and he's trying to get people in to donate to his collection plate and tithing box. So yeah, okay.
I know he was on a camp. Oh, he is the one. He is from Michigan, but he was the one that held that. It was during the election when Trump was running last summer. He held like a symposium roundtable in Michigan, in Detroit, Michigan, and I think he helped put that together. But I think he's I don't think he's a full Black American, but I don't want to get too much into that. But even though we were talking about, immigration and stuff, but he was just doing too much.
Well, it's weird who gets recognized and who doesn't. There are a lot of people in Georgia, Dr. and Mrs. Dr. Rawl down there weren't getting paid, and they did a whole lot for weeks for the Trump campaign. They're basically unrecognized. There were former judges or retired judges down there who did a lot. There were a lot of ordinary people all across the state on the grassroots level that did a hell of a lot of work that were unrecognized by the official campaign structure. So this guy just gets here and he puts on a show and it looks so colored. Come on now. Really?
And it's like
it looks like a Tyler Perry movie where they have the obligatory church scene.
But it looks like the worst version of colored church.
Yeah, it's campy.
Pastor Lorenzo Sewell is an American non-denominational pastor. He served as the senior pastor at the Detroit-based 180 Church. Sewell is a former gang leader. He spoke on day 4 of the 2024 Republican National Convention and gave one of the 3 benedictions at the second inauguration of Donald Trump.
He's been called again. Okay, fine. I'd like somebody to get the idea that Black folk are not just represented by preachers who go over the top like this.
Mm-hmm. Too much.
We do have other things going for us besides pontificators from the pulpit. And then they put the picture up with MLK. This is an interesting coincidence, by the way, that MLK's national celebration occurs on this day when the oath of office is taken. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's a sign.
Well, the other side who wanted Kamala to win, they knew the inauguration would have been on the 20th. So, and that was the thing, to have her get elected president, to be the first so-called Black president woman and first woman. Well, wait, let me finish. And then they was going to have Ketanji Jackson be the Supreme Court justice to swear her in.
It's just absolutely disgusting.
Let me just say this one last thing to lay on my plane. All that symbolism, and nothing would have been done to help Black Americans or Americans. And at least with Trump, all these executive orders that he passed today, they are not specifically to one group, but all those executive orders automatically helps Black America in a small way right now.
But what aggravates the hell out of me? We've been here as long as any group, absent maybe a decade or two at the very beginning. As long as any group, and we have yet to have an authentic Black man or Black woman get a shot at the top, except maybe Jesse Jackson back when, and Shirley Chisholm before that.
No, now, she's Caribbean.
Who?
Shirley Chisholm was Caribbean.
Well, then I stand corrected on that. She did have that accent, strange voice. So when are we going to have well, hell, that's even better than somebody that's Bush Bunny and somebody from where he came from over there in the Pacific Ocean, and that's better than somebody that came from India and Ireland. Come on now.
Oh, that's true too. That's
When
true.
are we going to have somebody with authentic North American antecedents, solid antecedents? Somebody, Kamala didn't count because she was faking it. She wasn't black. Her daddy said he was Irish and Hindu, and her mama says she's Hindu. So how does she get to be black out of that? Doesn't match up. So she's a fake. And Obama's from Indonesia, where he was raised. His daddy, who adopted him, was Indonesian. His mama was from Kansas, and she left the place to live over there. So where in the devil do we get an authentic, homegrown black man as president or a homegrown black woman as president? We don't have it. So when are we going to get our acts together and stop going along dealing with the of the slave owners giving us a fake deal? Satisfied. We so happy we's got somebody wheezing that look just like us. Oh, ain't that nice?
I do want to highlight Donald Trump because he mentioned Black people and Hispanics, but he mentioned Black people in his speech today.
Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Black and Hispanic.
Yeah, remember Biden? What did he say? Don't anybody get the idea that we're going to do anything, especially for black folk. He told his little cadre of niggers off the plantation in a private meeting that somebody recorded. Said, don't you niggers get happy, you ain't get nothing.
And Kamala said it too. I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. No. And Biden said, if you don't vote for me or vote Democrat, you ain't Black.
You ain't Black. Well, I didn't vote for your bastard ignorant ass. So now screw you. I got my credentials. Even though I'm a high yellow, high bright, I got black folk, dark folk in the family. Both granddaddies look like they just got straight off the boat. So yeah, I like grandparents, or one of them anyway. So, you know, right. It is what it is. So screw you, you ignoramus.
That's it.
Wow, we whoopee. If I was religious, I say hallelujah. We done got a message. Yes, we have. We done been sent somebody just coming along to clear up this morass of immorality, sin, decadence, and depravity. Yes, we've got it.
So somebody
the Lord worketh in mysterious ways. He got turned away and cheated out of his election. Yes, he did. But the Lord let him come back, and he came back strong. Yes, he did. He got electoral college. He got popular vote. And he got the niggers, and he got the Mexicans, and he got everybody coming on board. Let's go out and whip some proverbial behind. Yes, we gonna do that. Yeah, and pass the collection plate. Yes, we do.
So Liz Cheney, her ass got that part. She got that party, honey, and she running her mouth. She tweets, posts. Trump's remarks in the Capitol Visitor Center today were a reminder that neither lives nor the liar who tells them get better with age. The Select Committee evidence is available on multiple websites, and as a criminal defendant, Donald Trump has had access to all the transcripts for years. Remember Trump's character. He sat in his dining room watching on television as his supporters attacked our Capitol.
Oh, bullshit.
Called to law enforcement for hours. He refused to instruct the mob to leave. The truth will never change. And I want to say thank
Okay.
you to the Thinker on X for tagging me in that.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. How many people are getting let out by Trump's pardon of the 1-6 bunch?
1,500.
Yeah, 1,500. How many were in the Capitol on 1/6/21?
More than 1,500.
No, it wasn't 1,500, about 180 by count of the Capitol Police. So how does 180 get expanded to 1,600? Now, you know what's going to be real cute? Now that the dumb heifer has gotten her ass pardoned, she cannot assert the Fifth Amendment and decline to testify. So she can be forcibly compelled to testify against friends, relatives, and professional associates. So instead of just the people on her committee, she can be subpoenaed in and be required to give a deposition on penalty of contempt and being confined, or testify in front of a grand jury with no Fifth Amendment protections. And we can sweep in several thousand people who conspired along with her to deprive Donald Trump of his ability to run effectively as a president, which he defeated them anyway. So all of these people that is so happy, like stays Negroes, that they escaped and they feel so grateful, there is another side to the coin. You flip it and see what's on the other side. You can say it's a two-edged sword. It swings both ways. And that's what I was holding that sword up for today when we got off, after we got off the air. It was a two-edged sword, and I was going to remark that it swings both ways. So all of these people that's rejoicing about escaping persecution, prosecution, they's ain't out the fire yet. So I want to see how that lays. And then the other thing is they seem very well satisfied with that, like they really did something. Here you go. Hold the mic up. Excuse me. Why did you get pardoned? What crime did you really do? Tell us about your crime now that you don't have to worry about going to jail for it. What did you do? I didn't do it. Yes. Well, why did you get pardoned? Why would you need to be pardoned if you didn't do anything? Here you go. Come speak to us. Tell us what you did. Come on. Well, I didn't do anything. Well, why did you get pardoned? Well, come on. Tell us why you got pardoned.
Guys, can you all hit the like button? I want to get to 1,000 likes during this stream. So please thumbs up, hit the like button. Thank you. I got to get to a couple more super chats. Thank you again. One old guy's opinion. Immigration laws, Judge, originally the 14th, did not pertain to immigration, but to free slaves because, as you said, they were born in the U.S. As social services were made, they need immigration law to limit services to USC.
U.S. citizen. Well, as I said, that wasn't the purpose for the 14th Amendment, but the language is what it is, and any smart lawyer would be able to read that after he got past the first year of law school, or at least the old time way, and contrived some method of talking about, well, all of the people who are otherwise aliens, if they have children here, then they have birthright citizenship. So, and by the way, the basis for the anchor baby thing.
Can we ban the term, by the way, in 2025?
Well, no.
Ban it?
No, I like it. Anyway, or FYI, the whole anchor baby thing came in because somebody was creative and looked at how the 14th Amendment could be expanded. Look at the 15th Amendment. It was for the benefit of the former slaves, but it was used almost exclusively from the 1880s on up for the benefit of the new corporation, which was a creation of the various states, a fictional person that assumed the liability for financial problems that an investment opportunity might have. It was a replica of the English limited liability that was granted as a crown privilege in England, and they wanted something similar in the United States. So the states came up with the fictional corporation created as one of the things that they decided to do to define their citizens, which included what in law are known as inchoate, INCHOATE, which means a created construct that's treated as a human. It's not real and live. So the 15th Amendment got morphed into that and snatched from the intention to deal with the former slaves.
Now, we are going to put a time limit on Monday's show because you got to stop. You have to stop elaborating too long as if this Thursday, because Thursday you elaborate. That's your time to elaborate, not on Monday. Let me just get to this last.
You told me this morning to go for it this afternoon.
Oh, I did not.
Yes, you did. Twice.
I don't remember.
But you did.
One old guy opinion again. He says Title VIII, Aliens and Nationality, was passed October 1940 and Social Security Act 1935. It was not until the SSA did the people start defining through the U.S. Code who is entitled to services.
Okay.
He know what he talking about.
Yeah, it is. And Title VIII also deals with that thing that we were going to talk about, dealing with harboring federal fugitives.
And Faith is all we need says he was paid to do that. What were you talking about there, Faith? Oh, I probably got to it too.
That's his name.
Oh, talking about the preacher.
No, I'm talking about the guy that posted the comment, isn't it, in the chat room? Isn't that his handle?
No, I mean that last one, Faith. I was reading hers. It says this is one old guy again. He says that is the difference between United States and the United States of America. Great explanation.
I don't get that. Let me explain something very quickly. The United States.
That was a great explanation you gave.
I know, but here, let me explain something to clarify this. The United States is not a corporation. The United States came before the first American corporations, and corporations are based on the model of the United States. The voters are equivalent to stockholders. The stockholders vote for a board of directors. The citizens vote for a board of electors. The board of directors selects the CEO or chief executive officer. The board of electors selects the chief executive officer for the country. So the American corporation was modeled on the American government, not the other way around. So yes, it's an explanation, but understand that difference. Which one came first? Not corporations, then the U.S. government, but the U.S. government, then corporations at the state use the American model to create them on their structure. This is after the Civil War, when the phraseology changed from the United States are concerned to the United States is concerned. We became a singular rather than a plurality. Singular. I learned that in fifth grade.
I was trying to see. So he's at the bar right now. I was trying to see if some stream is playing it. I don't see any, but it doesn't matter. Real quick, a couple more comments. Ferno, let him teach us, please. Well, you could be taught on Thursdays. Monday is for enjoying some great discussions. Thursday is for you to learn whatever lessons. So you could be taught on Thursdays. I don't know why y'all people be trying to tell me what to do.
It's because of human nature.
I know it's a human nature, and it's like, honey, I need to switch up on your human nature is. Stagger says, "Will Trump? This question, will Trump go after Fannie? Because
he doesn't have to. Need a special counsel appointed with all the I's dotted, T's crossed, and yes, the damn fool sat there and incriminated herself and broke up her little con game, And Wade is singing like the proverbial canary to keep himself out of a real live mess and to be allowed to plead guilty to a federal offense with a 5-year cap. So we're going to have a lot of folk brought in for conspiracy. Remember, there's no pardon for Kamala Harris. There's no pardon for Biden. There's no pardon for the Attorney General of the United States. There's no pardon for Bragg. There's no pardon for Letitia James. There's no pardon.
Why didn't he pardon them?
Oh, he did not pardon them. But you see, they met in the White House to plot along with Smith, who doesn't get a pardon either, unless I missed him. And what happens is they met in the White House, according to Wade's leaked testimony, with Kamala Harris, and they planned how to get Trump. And that is a conspiracy, which makes anything else they did, whether it was legal or done in a legal fashion, part of a conspiracy. So all they have to do is show one overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy by one member of the conspiracy. If they've got probable cause to establish a conspiracy, and then the rules of evidence change, you don't have to show the specific intent of any member of the conspiracy for any act. The person becomes liable for any act committed by any of the conspirators. So their little gooses are cooked, and we just have to determine how long the oven should be when you want it juicy, or better still, for some people, more well done.
All right, let me say thank you to DJT. Thank you so much for the cash. I appreciate it. And also, I want to give an update on the Ohio and Notre Dame College Championship. And of course, Ohio State is kicking Notre Dame ass 31-7, and it's the third quarter, 6 minutes and 41 seconds. So yeah, so congratulations to Ohio State for becoming champions. That is JD Vance stomping ground, the state of Ohio, and my stomping ground now, because yes, I am a citizen of Ohio.
Well, how about this? The Fighting Irish, that's Notre Dame. Won't Kamala, with her Irish ancestry, feel bad that her Irish folk are getting stomped on by Ohio?
I don't think she claimed the Irish like that.
She doesn't have any option. Her daddy did.
One old guy
if daddy
again,
does, you're stuck with it.
one old guy's opinion. I knew you would clarify. Great stuff, Judge. No, we really do got to work on less teaching on Monday and more teaching on Tuesday and Thursday.
I can still dance. You want me to dance too? I can't sing worth a damn, but I can dance.
What that got to do with?
You don't want me to go do my thing that everybody loves me for, what I know technically and what I have picked up as esoteric, so I guess we will dance. That's what Negroes do. You know, we all dance at the slightest drop of the hat by any excuse. We can be talking about the death penalty. We gonna dance. You know, we're talking about who to get elected. We gonna dance. You know, we talk about women's rights. We gonna dance. We talking about going to the polls. We gonna dance. We're talking about reform of Medicare. We gonna dance.
Oh, so this is what I wanted to ask you. How do you feel about Snoop Dogg and Nelly performing for Trump events throughout this inauguration weekend?
Oh, well, yeah. I think we have a new convert. He was very adamantly anti-Trump the first go around, second maybe, but he's seen what Trump was about and what the absence of Trump leads to. One other thing, about 25 years ago, I was working closely with his mother on some projects she had going out there in California, in Los Angeles. And she told me some things about him, and I remember them. And he's not a bad person at heart. He was extremely intelligent, and got caught up in a situation that California had, which took him from being a very smart #1 student at a mostly black educational institution and put him in what I think she said he was one of 3 black folk in this school, and he got badly mistreated. So he kind of got galvanized to another way of looking at life. And you get Snoop Dogg, the rapper and the artist, rather than Snoop Dogg, the nerd who was an outstanding student. Now, Snoop at Home, which came out in the 1990s, was outstanding when it talked about the common sense he displayed about raising children in life. He stayed at home with his brother and his wife, and he was constantly correcting them. So with that background, I can see how it would be very easily accomplished for him to become a convert. So him singing or performing, let's put it, since he's not a singer, he's a rapper, his performance at the inauguration tonight would be not unexpected. In other words, he was on the way and the light came to him. And
yeah, I disagree with you on that. Here's why. You know, I don't know how the story you're telling about him. I'm now I'm questioning. Are you sure you have the right rapper? But if that is the case, okay, fine. So this is a clip, 36 seconds, and in 2017. The names he were calling black people who performed or went to Trump's inauguration compared to now. And here's the thing, it's not about seeing the light. It is about, do I want to be, no, how big is the check? That's number one. It's all about money. And Trump is, what is that feedback? Trump is, can you mute up while I'm talking for some reason?
What feedback are you talking about? I don't hear
I'm hearing it on my thing, but all right. So I'm gonna play this clip, and I don't think it's because he so intellectually saw the light. Let me just play this clip.
I don't think it's
so nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck out one of you Uncle Tom ass niggas for doing it. Which one of you niggas gonna do it first? Osby's the one that performs for himself.
At about noon, just thought that I had to be in Compton soon. Before the day begins, before my mother starts bitching about my friends.
And that was him at the crypto rally gala thing over the weekend. So now, in 2017, oh, okay, they're jigaboos, you know, they're Uncle Toms, they're all this stuff. But all of a sudden now, you know, you bumping to a room full of MAGA supporters like it ain't nothing. And it's like
8 years ago.
Money, no. Money, 2017, he was calling black people jigaboos and coons for now he's, you know, performing on stage for nothing but Trump supporters. And it's amazing how money would change not only your mind, but your so-called values.
Well, here's this. You know what I'd say to that? Excuse me. You know what I'd say to that? Saul is Paul and Paul is Saul.
I don't know what that means, nor do I really care.
You know, the person that was the anti-Jesus person became the pro-Jesus person. Saul and Paul, they're both the same person, but one of them was staunchly pro-Jesus and the other one was very much anti before the light dawned.
Yeah, that light in Snoop case is over $1 million check.
It may be, but
so that's honestly that's worse.
Well, so, it may or may not be. See, for example,
let me just say this real quick. This is my thing, and guys, please hit that like button. So what if people in his first term performed at his inauguration? It is an honor to be asked, and you are getting paid to do it. And it's going to help whatever you're selling, whether it's a movie, whether it's music or albums. Chrisette Michele saying at one of the inauguration balls when he was first elected is her career, they blackballed her career. Her career went downhill for that. And that was so wrong. And none of you black entertainers came to help her ever since. But now, you know, the way Trump, I think it's the way Trump won and how everyone is just fed up, you know, especially non-black people, and black people and Hispanics, but everybody was just fed up how this administration ran this country, was just ran it to the ground. So it's like, yeah, we need Trump was right, or we need him to come and straighten things out or whatever. But how dare anybody try to condemn someone because your so-called political views are different?
Well, yeah, I condemn a whole lot of son of a bitches because their politics are different, and I think they're dead wrong and they hurt a lot of people. But under the Constitution that I have taken several oaths to support, it's their right to be an asshole. So I'll support them in their right to be assholes, but I'll declare what they are. Now, I used to be very much anti-LBJ until I saw what he was actually doing. So LBJ wound up being all right with me. Sorry he didn't run for president the second time. But it is what it is. And I can see a lot of people that tell me anecdotally said, hey, I was much against Trump. Now that I saw what happened that he was talking about, I said, oh, hell no. The contrast is just humongous. So, yeah, I voted for Trump. They were telling me that before the election results got announced in November. But that's who they voted for, and now they're claiming it. I'm for Trump. So, conversion.
Yeah, but
how many foods did you not like when you were a child?
No, what I'm saying is no. That's it. That's true. But what I'm saying is, even if I don't like your politics, even if I think you're going down a wrong path, or even if I think you're an asshole, or whatever, I'm not going to block your money or how you make money. I'm not going to intentionally, you know what I'm saying, when you see somebody being blackballed, you know, because they feel as though they could dictate somebody's livelihood. Right. I'm not going to just leave that person in destitute like that. So what I'm saying here is, you know, people were really, this administration, they were really destroying people's livelihoods.
Well, yeah, but see, look, it was my business for years to say, and please be aware of the following clause relative to the conditions of your probation. You are not to associate with anyone of ill repute. In other words, anybody that's a gangster, thug, drug dealer, going around robbing folk, acting a damn fool, hanging out the wrong time, wrong place, you better not get your behind caught with them, because the court will lock your butt right up. You understand? Now, that's the way the deal was.
Right. So I agree.
There are ways of making a living that are not approvable.
No, I agree. No, but the fact not approved, if it's legal, that's fine. Whether you agree with it or not, it's legal. But thank you, Ferno Elite. He says Snoop is going where everyone else is. He knows where his bread is buttered. And that's exactly what it is. So it's not about us. No, you saw the light of, oh, this bread and butter is more smooth and tasty over here. That's all. So that's why I'm just like, don't ever, and I say this to say, and then we're going to end the show. Don't ever let somebody try to shame you or blame you or try to explain away how you feel in your own ideology. You feel the way you feel, you support who you support, you know, and that's it. I'm not going to allow anybody on the outside try to tell me other than. Just like when people come up here to try to tell me how to run my show here, and it's like, no, it's not going to happen. You're not going to tell me what you want me to not do or say to this man, because I can say whatever I want.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. Why do we have converts? I just left CVS Pharmacy in Target here in Germantown, and I'm on Medicare now. I pay $14,800 a year, $14,800 without counting the co-pays for Medicare. I paid $1,670 for full service Blue Cross a year and a half ago. I just had to pay for a medication that nominally I get a 90-day supply for less than $20. I just had to shell out over $1,000 for it to this afternoon. And I was loud about it. And a woman, she grabbed my arm as I was walking away. She was standing in line saying, and that's why I changed my mind about Mr. Donald Trump and voted for him. I just got on Medicare myself, and I found out what was going on this time about September last year. It said, that's why I decided to vote for Trump. People have conversions when they get perspective and context.
All right. Well, that's it for the night show. I wanted to only do 90. We did 2 hours, but hey, still made good timing.
I feel relief. My last concluding remarks, honestly, if Trump hadn't won and been sworn in today, so there's no question, I was seriously worried about how it was going to feel being locked up in a gulag this time next year if I was still breathing. Hey, the Nazis got thwarted. Hey, you there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here. All right, everybody. Thank you guys. So first of all, everybody that sent in a donation, thank you guys so much. Love you guys. I reached the goal. So what I'm going to do is next Monday, I would definitely make sure I'll set something up to where I'm taking your phone calls. And so that would definitely be next week, Monday. And listen, this was a great day. Happy Trump Day. We will be on X Space tomorrow. And of course, you could catch Judge Joe Brown breaking down I would say 14th, 15th Amendment on Thursday. That could be that episode for Injustice for All. And you will see me by myself with Dana with the Data podcast on Wednesday. So guys, please share this video, like it. And I want you guys to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell button to get all of your notifications, and have a wonderful week. Anything you want to say in closing?
Hey, it's good. We got a new start. Saw somebody doing work while he was waiting to go to the ball. That's a refreshing change from the garbage we've been getting out of DC over the last 4 years. So keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope it works.
You do that V so much you can't cross your fingers.
My hands are damaged. I played football.
You do the V, because nobody can really do the V. You can do that, but it's harder for you to cross your fingers.
I cannot cross my fingers. That's that Vulcan thing.
Yeah. So I mean, no, that's not odd, but that's different. You could do that, but not the cross.
That
I
I
can cross, but I
but
can't do the V.
do it so well with my right hand is difficult because it's been injured. I can't straighten fingers out because they got crunched. See, all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
I used to box a bit.
All right.
And got jacked up that way too.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Say good night, Judge.
Have a good day tomorrow.